Hey guys, we're checking out Nihilism because life is meaningless, so let's talk about it on Reddit. The literal meaning of life is whatever you're doing that prevents you from killing yourself. Albert Camus. Yeah, I'm definitely vibing more with the absurdist folk. I think you'll like this. I desire intimacy with like a spiky suit. Would this spiky suit be useful for some kind of combat? No, it has too many spikes. If you wanted to use it for combat, you would want spikes more sparingly. By the way, what the heck is this Reddit? Some kind of sad boy central? I love my child so much that I'll never bring them into this world. Oh my god. This meme has some sort of truth to it. Money doesn't matter, rich people. Looks don't matter. Because this is not something that affects them negatively. Nothing really matters. People who just, kill the man. If you're out there, you think that money doesn't matter, then I would ask you to send me all your money, everything, every single piece of it. And if you want to help people, just send them all the money you have. No advice, no pats on the back. What the heck? I'm gonna try my luck on this new land thing. Please don't, it will change you. What the fuck? I work 50 hours a week to rent around an apartment. I'm full of anxiety and self-loathing. And K-pop exists. K-pop is the good thing. I don't care about it, but like, at least people are kind of having fun with it. I guess you can argue that it's a bit of a soulless industry, but at least it's like having fun, right? You ate my cousin? What the fuck is this? It's definitely a bit of a downer meme, but it is pretty random. And by the way, the working 50 hours a week, that would be entirely optional, right? In the past, people had more relaxed lives than us. But I guess we are productive. Most people are enslaved. Let's go. People who read philosophy, philosophers. Oh boy. At one point, I didn't know that much about philosophy. Then I read like at least 50, but I think it's probably over 100 philosophy books. Well, most philosophers just kind of want to rationalize and justify. They're just basically just riffing their opinions, thinking that they're smart and superior to others. That's pretty much it. I could say my favorite philosophers here, but I would come up as edgy. So maybe not. Maybe you can leave your favorite philosopher in the comments. And possibly try to guess mine, or possibly the most appropriate for me. I just realized something horrifying. People with depression score higher on tests of realism. Intelligence is positively correlated with mental illness and suicide. That is, what this indicates is that if the mind understands too much about reality, it wants to destroy itself. Human life is existential horror. Yeah. But also intelligence is gonna come in handy. But it is true that let's say that you're a child, and let's suppose that you are having a good childhood here. You probably don't see all the monsters out there. Yeah, you might be like, oh man, I'm afraid of shadows, or I'm afraid of like monsters. Or I'm afraid of spiders or something. You know what would you be afraid of if you had a bad childhood? I'm afraid of humans. They're fucked up. Every single one. The right person will come one day. The right person. The Grim Reaper? Really? This world is a big scam. Cartels, industries, corrupt officials, fake-ass democracy, socialism for the wealthy, trust fund assholes, attention-seeking influencers, scammers, everything's trying to kill you, or everyone is trying to rip you off in one way or another. I feel heartbroken that nothing in this world can be done with a truly moral approach. Yeah, but like, where's this morality come from? This guy is not deep enough. Seriously, where does it come from? It is just what you like, right? But also, it's usually in a hypocritical way. So you might be wishing for what you think is good from others, but while you're not acting like that. For everything you do, there are consequences, and then you sell your soul to the devil. But I think there is a correlation between people who are possibly taught to behave in a... Well, but what is a good way to phrase this? In a useful way to others, perhaps. You can call it moral, I suppose, but essentially people teach you to be useful to them. Even though that could totally fuck you. You're not gonna have like a rich guy teaching to the peasants like, mug me and chop my head off. You're never gonna have that. It's in your best interest. It's what we play, right? That's the game, right? And if you think about it. someone tries to teach you to be their bitch. And you're like, yeah, I thought about it and kind of decided that you're a total dick and like, oh my god, I can't believe it. Now I don't like you. Anyhow, choose the dark side. Cause money doesn't give you ways. I'm just trying to live my life. There are things I enjoy, but those are based on such dark sides and inhibitions. What is that number? It's so random. I don't know. Is that some kind of code? By the way, there are ways to make money. That doesn't include mugging people, I guess. But it's self-evidently true that assuming that you're willing to do anything, then you're more likely to win. This is a huge reason I've given up on so many things in life. Most of us are so broke we have to count our pennies to see if we can make rent and eat in the same week. The worst part is due to constant injections from this false idea that capitalism is the perfect garden that waters itself. A lot, if not all, rich people are convinced that no matter the circumstances, such as if they fully inherited their wealth, they are indeed a better human being than you simply because a number in a bank account is higher than yours. I think people are just total hypocrites, right? It doesn't matter what they believe. It doesn't matter what they say. It just matters what they end up doing, right? What ends up happening. And essentially, they believe in what they will. Essentially, they believe in their self-interest. And if you were in their case, you would most likely do the same. Those who have money always believe in something that they kind of deserve it, right? Or possibly whatever you have, you kind of deserve it. Or at least you're not gonna give it away. There comes a certain dollar amount. I think it's different for everyone, where once you hit it, I swear your brain chemistry changes. You go from whoever you were previously were, let's face it, some people are smug assholes for life, self-obsessed to the core, to a narcissistic autocrat who is convinced that they can do no wrong in life, that has made it in their life mission to exploit everyone and everything around them, also they can just have more things. Also, possibly it's even worse if you're trying to climb up, because let's say that you are born rich. Now you could be just stupid and deluded, right? You believe all the self-serving nonsense, but if you have to climb up, then you're under no illusions. On top of all this, America is obsessed with blaming the victim. Yeah, that's a good point. Can't make your rent? It's your fault. You don't have a good job. Get a second or third if you need it. Oh, you got injured from a car accident you didn't cause and you're out of work. The company will find a way to let you go, and your insurance will for sure do anything in their power to not aid you. Well, I'm not saying that humans are hopelessly selfish, but if you're assuming them to be selfish, shallow hypocrites, then probably most of the time you're going to be right. This does not mean that you should not be looking to cooperate. I think that makes a lot of sense. But also you can look at it like mutual utility. Now, don't take this as dismissal of trying to have higher standards. In fact, I very much prefer that. But simply put, a regular Joe does not care about you that much. I mean, how many, use your fingers here, how many people just walked up to you in your life and just gave you like, even like $100, or at least $100 worth of the stuff? They might even give you advice, but that is just possibly just sabotage. You hear your health is terrible because you spend every waking hour of your day working and don't have the time to eat healthy or focus on your body. Yawn. Boring. Figure it out, you lazy fuck. Your mental health is so destroyed from living the zombie wage slave life in constant state of panic due to lack of money. Not my problem. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, you gotta like ask in a system, how you gonna make people work the jobs that you don't wanna work, right? Huh? Suppose you were in control. Wouldn't you want to have the good seat? Just invent some imaginary score, some bullshit, and like that. Now, a lot of people just don't have this imaginary score, and they have to like clean your toilet or something, sweep your streets. He'll do everything for you because you have this imaginary score. And you can just put it into the bank too, or, on the stock market. And like, just your imaginary score is also growing. But they don't have this imaginary score. Unlike you. Imagine if they decided to not care about this imaginary score, or, your, you saying that, this is my dirt, I'm calling dibs on that. Or some rules and laws that actually favors you and kind of screws them. Then what happens? Violence! Every time violence! We're gonna beat them down. They don't know the game. Anyway, back. Not my problem. Oh, and mental health isn't real, by the way, because I, the rich person, am doing just fine. Although it can be said that mental health, the popular psychology, probably is most useful if you are like upper class plus, because like if everything in your life is great and all you need to do is just pay like some psychologist like $100 an hour to possibly fix some kind of other issues, wrong way of thinking that you may have. I mean, that kind of is appropriate. But suppose you have 100 problems and 99 is money. Yeah. You see the problem right there. Especially if the psychologist actually makes that worse. I can't count how many times, just in life, I've seen the blame the victim mentality. Yeah. People like to believe that the world is fair. And the thing is, if you lose, if people try to screw you and you lose, they will hate you. If you just lose just normally, they'll hate you. They might pity you the moment you lose, but if you stay down a little bit, even just linger a little bit, then they'll hate you for it. If you win against them, they will also hate you. And by the way, if you're thinking about letting them win, and then thinking that they're gonna come back and hold your hand and there's gonna be some mutuality after that, it might happen. In some cases, but generally speaking, people are gonna use that leverage, that advantage, in their favor. Anyway, because in reality, to them, it's out of sight, out of mind. When someone who is wealthy goes home for the day, if they even went to work that day, they don't think of their workers, they don't think of their struggles. They just look at their multiple cars in their driveway of their huge house and go, "God damn, why am I so oppressed?" I don't think they think that. They're just dumb. But they know that believe some dumb bullshit that is self-serving. Because if you want to build a system around self-interest, then yeah, just go ahead. Yeah, let's encourage people. Let's encourage self-interest at every turn. And then you come to the most obvious realization that just democracy doesn't exist. It never did. Right? Because it would be in the self-interest, self-evident self-interest of people to work for the money. I mean, just vote for the money of those who have more money than them. So we would have equality at every election. That's it. It makes no sense for the people to not vote for the money of those who have more money than them. You might make various arguments. It doesn't matter. Self-interest. It'll never get better. The cost of living in the US will literally never go down. I mean, it does seem like that the game is kind of set up oddly. So people are kind of hoping for some kind of UBI perhaps, but I think it's just full on purge right now. So the degrowth is happening, but not the way that you possibly like it. There is zero reason why someone couldn't have a ton of kids, right? You have enough food, you have enough land, you can just eat food and fuck all day, and you don't have to do anything. There's just so much food. But we live in a crisis where people can't even do anything, right? They are enslaved. And the prices will never go down, and the companies will openly refuse to keep up in terms of wages. Yeah, it makes sense to pay as little as possible. Also, houses are kind of stupid, right? I wouldn't be against owning a house. I think it's just stupid, man. Yeah. Because now, everyone who has a house is personally incentivized for the house prices to go up. And for the money to be respected, it makes no fucking sense. Essentially, anyone who has a house is personally incentivized that you do not. Assuming you don't have a house right now. And we just want to grow our imaginary numbers, I suppose. Just oh man, I got more numbers, more digits on the screen. I'm such a good person. I'm truly superior to others. Our lives, our actual lives, mean nothing in the face of their profits. They've been trained or have trained themselves to believe this for a long time. How I cope with this unhealthy deep alcoholism that it's clearly rotting me away as I approach only 38. I've been drinking hard for 21 years now. Oh, please. This guy's a beginner. You probably had this realization, when you're a little kid, right? And you see the the adults is like, oh man, I'm doing all the drugs. Oh, I'm doing the gambling, man. Oh, I'm doing the smokes. I'm doing the alcohol. And in the meantime, you're attending your indoctrination camp every day raw. There is no relief. I'm like, oh yeah, man, can you get a better job? What? The like 6-year-old? I don't think so. Anyhow, it's the only thing that allows me to just shut the door to my apartment and let the world fade away while I essentially just wait for the end. I've totally and completely given up entirely due to a system that will always put the profit over people. But what you call profit is just the self-interest of the few against the many. The score is just how we decide who gets fucked. Human life is just one big pyramid scheme. The elites have us all wrapped around their fingers. The tiny percentage of people who actually live the American dream have most of us convinced that we can be like them. It's interesting that when you watch movies, they tend to, well, even just read books, they tend to really tell stories of those who have it good. You know? Or at least the thing that to do is work 40 hours a week and spend money and eat and drink and fuck and push out a few babies to add to their slave force. And this bizarre American obsession with punishment keeps us in line, along with the victim blaming you mentioned. God forbid you want to go your own way in life, especially if you fail. Then you really need to suffer for your sins. And from what I can tell, most of the world is the same way, but the elites don't even pretend you can be like them. They just beaten the populace down into learned helplessness. Yeah. People don't necessarily like me saying this, but like you see like this helplessness and depression, and like see like, what's the point of that, right? It is just how people kind of beaten down. And you see someone like possibly even in their 20s, but like possibly later, you see that how realistic they are, how wise they are, how accepting they are. And so it's just defeatism and self-interest. It's disgusting. Oftentimes they just believe in their self-interest, or possibly others educated them against their own self-interest. What a fucking joke of a life. I can't wait for it to all burn, honestly. Things improve or I'm just out. That's where it is. Yeah, but like everyone's just waiting. Like we live in a society where everyone's just waiting. Oh, I'm such a realist. Oh yeah, just I'm such a good boy. I'm just standing in line, man. You miss one religion? Well, I generally hate religion. But if you want to pick up religion, on your own, later in life, not a problem, right? You tell no one, you're just doing religion for you. But that is rarely what religion is. People just indoctrinate people hardcore when young, and there could be very heavy, very, very, very heavy consequences for trying to leave. And of course, everyone's just like, yeah, you gotta align to certain things that they kind of expect from you. But also, most of all, religion is control. You often see that some are having it good. They're very good. Others are not having it as good. Everyone is so narcissistic and insufferable. I think it's heavily incentivized that you become narcissistic. And you possibly gotta get the message. I mean, that's kind of what kids are kind of seeing. That if you want success in life, then you would have to be a certain kind of person. And you might be wishing for something, but it doesn't matter. What really matters is what is rewarded. Like, let's suppose you were even born rich. Like, you're just born with the winning ticket. But you had a bleeding heart. You're gonna give away all your money, and it's gonna be against your self-interest, right? That's a no-go. What you want is some kind of self-righteous bullshit. It's like, oh yeah, I am going to this university, and I'm having this job, and I'm having all this money because I'm superior to people. And I deserve it, or something like that. It's not gonna be like, oh yeah, man, I got lucky, and I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna keep myself up, and probably others down. In a world where good people are punished and evil people are rewarded, it means the world is hell. But who's teaching the good people to be good, right? It's the evil people teaching the good people to be good, right? You're turned to turn the other cheek by those who love to punch and take. Goodness essentially is a spook. But what the heck is good? It's just what you like, or what you were kind of indoctrinated into. You might come to realize that your ideals of good are just the self-interest of those who are having it better than you. And what does that make you? The universe is a cruel, uncaring void. The key to being happy isn't a search for meaning. It's just keeping yourself busy with unimportant nonsense and eventually you'll be dead. Oh, that's terrible. I made this argument before. Like, let's suppose you're kind of dropped in Minecraft. Like, does Minecraft have a meaning? It doesn't. I guess you can argue that you're keeping yourself busy with unimportant nonsense, but the point I'm making here is that things have meaning because they have meaning to you. I imagine people in the sub. That is literally how I look right now. Well, I have a different shirt. I got a black shirt on, but I got a black hoodie on. I like to cosplay as a hacker man. Was it nihilism for the win? Nothing matters, nothing matters? It does matter. I mean, the thing is, it matters because it matters to you. If you truly believe nothing mattered, then you would not be distraught by this statement. So things matter. Even if you were in some kind of a virtual world, right? Things matter because they matter to you. Even if suppose they were completely meaningless. Well, let's go with that. And they did not matter. Let's just take the pet the cat moment. You just walk past the cat and you just pet its head. And why did you do it? Is it because you're trying to gain the allegiance of the cat? Is it because you were handed a little cold? Not really. You just did it because you wanted to. You're too busy intellectualizing suffering to let the depth of your emotions move you to action. Albeit if they are negative emotions, they might not. But this is kind of a good take. Get moving, get out of your head, and use your head to solve problems. Instead of why, possibly the good question could be, why not? Why do evil people succeed in life while good people struggle? It just seems like a defense mechanism. Yeah, but you're assuming that to be the case, and this is not necessarily true. But also, where do evil people come from? It is just people who you do not like. And they could be doing objectively bad things, or I'm not even sure we can make the claim to that, but like, where does evil come from? Essentially, just looking at your emotions. It is just stuff you don't like. So, very often what you would see is that people consider other people who are possibly just doing their own thing or not acting in their own best interest, in the best interest of those who are observing, evil. You might see a woman hate another woman, and you look down on them and just hate them, they're evil, bitch. Because, why? Because they're prettier. That's it. And of course, openly, they probably wouldn't say that. Like, they might have some other reasons for their feelings. It doesn't matter. But this is self-evidently true. If you're unscrupulous about what you do, it's certainly gonna open up possibilities. Because the evil people are willing to use others to get ahead, and good people aren't. Good people care about the well-being of others and feel compelled to behave ethically. Yeah, but I kind of have a problem with, like, what is good people? Because you would see a bunch of good people. You would see, like, even war. You just see, like, a bunch of good people fighting each other, and the good people always win. Because everyone is always the good people, and what they do is ethical and right. And end up winning, and everyone who's against them is evil and wrong. And certainly you can look at it a bit more objectively. But the most likely scenario is that you deal with a person who calls their self-interest good. Okay, evil people see others as resources for them to exploit and consume. I find this extremely straightforward, so it's interesting to see all the equivocating on this thread. Yeah, but this is just naive, like good and bad, and good and evil. I've noticed good people are not willing to use people as means to an end. That could be a problem if you're trying to run a successful business. Yeah. If you're willing to do whatever it takes, then that's certainly gonna work out more. Not if the business is successful for the employees as well, in theory anyway, but yeah, seeing people as human resources is kind of what I had in mind. Immanuel Kant would certainly not approve of using people as means to an end, category imperative and whatnot, yeah. But that's not feasible. Good people, again, what the heck is a good people here? Enjoy the little things, and are more likely to dedicate their life to art, hobbies, love. Okay, but suppose you did this, and let's just say for sake of argument that you're a guy. Then you are almost certainly gonna be hated. Why? Because, like, you're wasting your time on this bullshit. Why you could be just making money? You are an irresponsible person. Possibly you don't have a family, or you're like, your children are fucking starving. You're just caring about your bullshit guitar bullshit, and like, painting some pictures no one cares about, especially with the AI art around. So essentially, it's not useful to others. Kind of like how possibly others would evaluate it. But like, who's to say that this is good? Well, these kinds of people you talk about literally go high on being the best, being better, fuse their whole lives. This is what exactly popped up in my head when I saw Mike Tyson speak on people's obsession with ego. The world runs on illusions and appearances because the human brain constantly lies to itself. We believe we are smarter than we actually are. Huh? How can you make these claims? We rarely question our own brains. We believe what we want to believe. That's not really how I phrase this, but people tend to have self-serving and people beliefs and kind of believe in what they will. And the feelings and the thoughts come first and the explanations come later. Then we cling to our previous conclusions, even when they turn out to be very wrong. Like those flat earthers who run experiments, accidentally prove that the world is not flat, then refuse to change their minds. Yeah, but that's just a kind of one-off. But yeah, sure, certainly a good example. Perceiving a scam requires being skeptical of yourself. Like, I think this person seems trustworthy to me, but what if I'm wrong? Very few people think this way. And possibly a better example of it could be like, let's say that you were taught to be religious, and one day, or just essentially possibly over time, but like one day you just claim to be like, yeah, I don't think it doesn't make sense to me. And others would generally not like that. All this makes humanity incredibly susceptible to manipulation, scams, and con artists. Yeah. I don't like those who just go with promises and hopes. They're just selling hope hardcore. And these days, I don't really buy hope or promises. Honestly, I would say that most salespeople and marketers just suck. They are just preying on the weak. Their common methods don't work on me. I'm not saying that there are ways that possibly could work on me, but the common way they try to get the common person does not work on me. Evil people have a very easy time gaining power because they are excellent at deception, and the average person does everything possible to fall for it. Yeah, but like, I'm not sure because it kind of feels like I would agree with this. But like, simple, you call them evil. What is an evil person? But even putting that aside, just because you might call them evil, that doesn't mean that they are excellent at deception. And we can, in this regard, possibly circle back around to my point about like marketers and possibly salespeople. Let's say that you have like a totally unscrupulous salesperson who would absolutely try to say the things that to get to you. But supposing that you are not vulnerable to it, then it won't work. They're trying to pull on your strings and control you like a marionette. And like, yeah, it's not working. In my opinion, capitalism has enabled abusive people to win and control over people. Our society rewards the con artist and isn't protecting the average empathetic person. It's never meant to. If you think capitalism is about doing right by people, then you're beyond naive. At least read like 1,000 big brain books and circle back to this topic. I don't want to play this game anymore. This is a game of suffering with no happiness or pleasure. At 12, I thought it would get better when I was older. At 20, it was worse, but again, I thought it might get better when I was older. Yeah, but this is why I hate hope. And I know this is a hot take, but I have good reasons. Because this kind of hope leads to passivity, inaction, just being stupid. Now, why do you think things are gonna get better? You're just kind of hoping. And I know this might keep you warm a little bit, possibly. But it's not very useful because you might see, in some cases, I'm just gonna highlight a life here. Let's see that you take one person and this person just thought like, maybe the thing's gonna get better. So they kept at their crap life, they kept at it and kept at it. They kept voting, Their favorite slogan was vote, hope, cope, vote, hope, cope. That is their slogan. That's what they did all their life. And then now they are fucking like 80-year-old, and that's what they did all their life. Vote, hope, hope. And nothing got better. In fact, things got worse. They just hoped that things get better, but I guess this was good enough that they did not die. Now, I ask this. Was their hope useful? You might argue that because of their hope, they got to live a longer life. But also, because of their hope, they didn't much do about things that they didn't like. Because they kind of hoped it would get better, and it didn't. It just got worse. Now let's just take anything out there. Like, well, I shouldn't go specific here. Like, let's just have the mindset that unless you do something about it, it will not be done. It will only get worse. So much worse every day. No hope. It will get worse. 100%. So I ask you this. What will you do? But you also see this like all the time, that people would rather not make a choice, even though that could be the worst option, right? Because they're afraid of, possibly getting it wrong or even being responsible. Which is madness, right? They would hate to be the one who rolled the dice and lost. They would rather not try and lose. Even if apparently there's nothing to do, in this case, would you still hope that it gets better? Nah, I don't like it. Anyway, back to it. At 25, it was worse again. Thought it might get better. Yeah, it won't. Well, I'm 30 now. It hasn't gotten better. It somehow managed to get continually progressively worse and worse. I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to play this game anymore. Yeah. The reality is that you're probably not the guy that the stories are written about. You are the guy who's a lifelong wage slave. And others take as much as they can from you. You might not like it, but what do you do to stop it? People don't seem to question anything. I've talked with people around me about topics like the meaning of life, suffering, or whether life is worth living or not, and they don't see it the same way I do. It seems like they don't care. They don't go deep, and they seem to live on autopilot. I feel a bit alone. However, this is not necessarily useful to eternally linger about it. Trust me, we are out there, and I get it. Most people don't want to dive deep into whatever flavor of Nietzschean existential void presents itself for the day. Why am I here? Why does it all mean? The thing is, I'm gonna give you the answer. Whatever you think, whatever you believe, there's no answer to that. That's it. You can ask these questions, but it's meaningless. It's all of it is meaningless. Because you're just writing the answer down. It's all meaningless. You can just go with whatever. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. I guess you can argue the wrong answer is whatever that doesn't give you satisfaction, and possibly the right answer is whatever gives you the maximum satisfaction. But it may not be something that applies to everyone, so who knows. The thing is, you can see this by just reading a bunch of philosophers, that they are all just riffing, right? Riffing and obsessed with themselves. It's like, I'm so smart. Look at my opinions. I have the best opinions, man. And that's pretty much it. Is that sufficient reason to value consequences? What is the line between randomness and order? I mean, yeah, you would also have to ask like whether this line of questioning is useful. Do other people realize reality is just a rhythm of perpetually fluctuating quantum fields? What the heck? I'd say there is a sizable minority who keep to ourselves and process the mindfuck of reality alone. Yeah, but like, if you just do this, or just like think about it in the corner with your, big bro boys, is that useful? That would be my question. Like, what are you doing? Are you even like positively making changes toward what you want to see? Because what you would often see is that people come to the belief that life is so meaningless, so I'm gonna do nothing. And I'm gonna be cranky about it, and I'm gonna be negative too, and that just shows that I'm smart. To which I say, you do you. At first I was like, life is meaningless. But now I'm like, life is meaningless, let's go!